Hi everybody, this is Mrs. Costello. I am making the day 4 video for Unit 4. So we have done a lot of writing equations of lines in y equals mx plus b, but we need to kind of think about, okay, what if we have special lines like our vertical lines and our horizontal lines? Remember, our vertical lines look like this, just straight up and down, and then our horizontal lines look like this, left and right. Now your vertical lines, those are the ones that have your equation of x equals, and then like some number right here. It's just one number, okay? Remember that slope is undefined. So if you're using your slope formula, you might get something like, let's pretend we get 3 on top and 0 on the bottom. That's an example of undefined if you don't have your picture to show you that it's a horizontal or a vertical line. If it's a horizontal line, it's kind of the opposite. It has an equation of y equals, and then there is some number that goes right here. Now remember that slope is 0. So if you're doing your slope formula, you might get like 0 on top and then 3 on the bottom. So those are the two differences. I would write down the picture and what it looks like when you do your slope formula just in case. Okay, so for all of these, we're still writing equations. We just might have some special equations. So number 1 says slope of 0 and goes through 3, 5. Okay, so slope of 0, if I look at my box right above it, it says that the horizontal line has a slope of 0. Okay, so I know it's going to look like this. And I know it's also going to start with y equals because that's what this says right here. Now, if you only get a point, remember that every single point has an x and has a y. So if my y is 5, then all I have to do is put the 5 in there because all of the y's are going to be 5 no matter what on that line. Okay, so this would be my answer. If you needed to draw like a little graph too, you totally could have. So if you're, you make a little graph in the corner of your paper. This is 3, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And okay, it needs a slope of 0, so I'm going to draw a horizontal line. If that helps you see it even better, that's totally fine also. Number 2 passes through -2, 7 and -2, 14. So some of you guys might know what the slope is already. If you do, that's great. If not, you do need to use your slope formula. Your m equals y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. So this one is x1, y1. This one is x2, y2. So if I plug into my slope formula, I have y2, which is 14, minus y1, which is 7, all over x2, which is -2, minus x1, which is -2. Make sure you take your negative with you. 14 minus 7 is 7, and then -2, let's make that a plus. -2 plus 2 is 0. Okay, if you're not sure what that slope is and you put it in your calculator, it's going to say error. And just remember that error is kind of the same as getting that undefined, or sorry, that's the 0 slope, my bad. Getting that undefined slope, this one right here, right? Number on top, 0 on the bottom. So my slope is undefined, which means if I go back to my table, I'm going to use this one right here, this x equals 1. So x equals, now if I look at my points, these are, hold on, these are right here, the x's, and see how they match? So x equals -2 is going to be my equation. Now you don't have to go through all this slope stuff. If you look at the points right off the bat and you go, oh yeah, look, matching in the x's, that's always going to give you an x equals line. And we'll kind of work on that throughout the video too. A wants you to look at the picture and make the equation of the line. So this is my line right here. Okay, it is a vertical line, and I know that vertical lines start with x equals. If I used my table, I would know that, or, maybe you just got it down now. And then I'm going to go over to the number and see what number it's at. So it's at 1, 2, 3. So I'm going to put x equals 3 for that line. B, here is the line that goes with B. Yeah, I highlighted it because I know it's kind of hard to tell with all the black lines. This one's a horizontal line, so I'm definitely going to use y equals. And then it looks like it goes through at -2. So -2 is going to be the number that I use with that line. All right, cool. So we got a couple here that wants you to put the equation in HK form, and then it wants you to put it into slope-intercept form. So I'm probably going to do 3 and 4, and then you guys are going to do a couple on your own. Okay. Remember that HK form looks like this. Y equals m times x minus h plus k. All right. Now let's read number 3 and see what we have. So slope of -2. So this is going to be my m. And then it passes through 5, -3. So this is my h, this is my k. So if I plug in y equals, m is -2 times x. Now remember, you change h. So if my h is 5, I need to write -5 because that's opposite. Change your h. And we're going to keep our k. So if our k is -3, I'm going to write -3. So change h, keep k. Right. Now this is in HK. This is good. This is what the first part of my problem asked me to do. But I need it in slope-intercept form, which is y equals mx plus b. So I'm going to take my -2. I'm going to distribute it. So y equals -2 times x is -2x. -2 times 5, or -5 is +10 minus 3. Alrighty, now we just need to combine our like terms. So -2x, and then 10 minus 3 is 7. So this one is good to go. It's in y equals mx plus b. I'm happy, you're happy. We're doing good things. Okay, number 4. All it says is it passes through -6, 1 and then 6, 5. So I don't know the slope. So I need to do my slope formula first to find it, which is, remember, it's y2 minus y1 over x2 minus x1. I'm going to look at my points and I'm going to label them. So this is x1, y1, x2, there we go, y2. Okay. So if I find my slope, y2 is 5 minus y1 is 1 over x2 is 6 minus x1 is -6. Make sure you carry that negative over. 5 minus 1 is 4 over 2 negatives in a row make a positive. So 6 plus 6, which is 12. Now, I don't really want to distribute 4 over 12, so I'm going to make this a better number, right? They can both be divided by 4, so 1 over 3. That's going to be my slope when I use HK. Remember HK, right? Y equals m times x minus h plus k. You can pick, and I think some of the other teachers might have talked about this in their videos, you can pick either point that you want to use when you're doing HK. I'm going to erase these because I'm going to label it as HK and I don't want to get confused. I'm going to use the first one because they're both positive. I like working with positives. I don't know about you, but I would prefer to work with the positives. So H and K, and then this is my M. So if I plug in, Y equals, M is 1/3 times X, remember to change H, so if it's +6, now it's -6, keep K, so +5. Now I know we don't love fractions, but when there's a 1 on top, it's just like dividing when you distribute. So like your 1 over 3 times the x is not a big deal. It's just 1 over 3x. But when you do 1 over 3 times -6, it's just like dividing by 3. So -6 divided by 3 is -2 plus 5. And you can always check that in your calculator if you're not sure. Y equals 1 over 3x, and then -2 plus 5 is positive 3. And that's my final answer on that one. Oops, sorry guys. Okay, I would like you to do C and D on your own. Okay, so you are going to pause your video now and do C and D. Then when you unpause your video, you're going to see my work. So go ahead and pause your video now. So here's my work on C. I was given everything I needed for HK form. It gave me my slope of 3, which I labeled, and then it gave me a point. So I just plugged that straight into my HK formula, made it y equals mx plus b, and I ended up with this down here, y equals 3x plus 7. So check your work, make sure you did it right. If you're not sure, you can ask your teachers about that one tomorrow. D. So on D, I had 2 points and I didn't know my slope. So I plugged it into my slope formula right here. And then I got 0 over -8, which means my slope is 0, which means I have a flat horizontal line, y equals, and all I did was look at the y's that are highlighted in green, and I plugged that into my line. Now, if you look at your points right away and you notice, ooh, this one has -5 and this one has -5, and they repeat, it's okay to kind of assume that you're going to have a y equals line without anything else, without any x's or anything. So I'll kind of go over that on the next one too. Passes through 0, -4, and the slope is undefined. So if my slope is undefined, I know that my line looks like this, right? So that means I'm going to have an x equals line. If I'm looking at my point, 0 is the x coordinate, right? Because every point has an x and has a y. So all I have to do is say x equals 0, okay? This part where it says slope is undefined, it does not mean that there is no line or like the line's undefined. I get that common mistake a lot, so make sure that you're still doing x equals. All right, last one. I think you guys could totally do this one on your own. You will have to use your slope formula, so make sure that you go ahead and you do that. Go ahead and pause your video now. And then when you unpause, you're going to see my work. So pause your video. So here's my work on F. You guys should have gotten 2x minus 13 for your equation. You could have chosen either point for your HK. So if you chose 5, -3, this is what your HK setup would have looked like. You would have gotten 2 times x minus 5 minus 3, and you still would have gotten the same answer. So either of these are good. You definitely should have gotten 2 for your slope, so make sure that that looks good on yours as well. And then, yeah, everything looks good. If you have any questions, be sure to ask your teachers about it tomorrow while you're in class. Otherwise, enjoy the rest of your day.